Everybody, my name is Anthony Nunez. I'm sure most of you snoop me on Facebook as I have you, which is entirely okay. So we're nearing the end of Women in Politics, and I am as sad as you are. It's been a pretty condensed ride from my perspective. I'm sure the majority of us, not only students, but parents, teachers, spouses, etc. So all these collaborations have been great, and it's what makes it so unique, is that everyone has crazy cool social experiences. So I hope everyone's getting the grade you deserve. So jumping right into the material, I utilize the Frickin' and Kenny and Lawless and Fox mainly. Mainly the Frickin' and Kenny is kind of my root work. I chose option number 2, which is media obstruction, mainly because I knew I can get the most out of myself with this choice. Writing about it actually proved to be more troublesome and contentious than I originally thought, but basically just sticking to the data really helped me. So 3 ways the media obstruct women in politics were contributing and promoting to double-bind stereotypes, negative news and personal attacks, and finally taking a more abstract approach was the media's lack of responsibility. Double bind is a term used in social science when conveying individual constraints that are promoted or enforced by a person's or system due to gendered expectations. From Frickin' and Kenny here, quote, the impact of senators' representational messages depends to a large extent on whether their communications are mirrored in the news media. When senators highlight their stereotypical strengths, the news media is likely to mirror these messages because they are consistent with journalists' own stereotypical views of men and women. Essentially meaning that, women stick to female traits, men stick to male traits, because they're consistent with stereotypes regarding the actual individuals reporting the news, which was asinine to me and a crazy thought to think about. It poses a grave concern for the future of women's equal representation in the political sphere when women are chastised for literally stepping outside of cultural and societal norms. Secondly was negative news and personal attacks. The confidence and willingness to participate is paramount at any level election. In conjunction with ambition and willingness, it's my belief that the use of the negative information and personal attacks has a substantial effect in deterring even some of the most qualified women from running. Lawless and Fox stated, quote, negative political advertising that saturates high-level competitive elections has turned politics into a blood sport that focuses on destroying the opponent. Further, the mainstream networks and newspapers, in response to increasing competition from the internet and cable news, incorporate scandal and partisan conflict, unquote. So, this was a big problem. The negative news and the personal attacks is probably one of the biggest things that we've seen throughout the past 8 weeks, where women are disproportionately affected due to stereotypes that just promote patriarchal ideals. Notably was the Venezuelan presidential bid, Saez, where she was referred to as Barbie doll, Miss X Universe, by Miss Colomina, which is one of the news anchors. She was called Miss Narcissist, things like that. So you can see when women are personally subjected on a personal level, it's truly devastating to morale, confidence, things of that sort, and less likely to participate in political elections for the chance of being unfairly scrutinized. I got a quote here. Those who are least interested, involved, and knowledgeable about politics are the most susceptible to media influence, but the least likely to expose themselves to their influence, unquote. I found this from Kenneth Newton, which was great because it proves like this circular problem with descriptive representation. We know that women are less knowledgeable, less involved when they're not descriptively represented. This is pretty much saying that you're also more susceptible when you're less involved. So if we don't have the descriptive representation, the women are disproportionately affected, which is everything that we've read just from a different article. Lastly, media's lack of responsible reporting. Being slightly more abstract here, I believe that the media's lack of ownership for contributing to stereotypical responses is really just unprincipled journalism. Obstructing the path specifically for women to enter and succeed in the political arena is terrible. Pew Research Center, quote, television is the most common news source for learning about the presidential election. Most of those who learn from cable news find it most helpful than users of any other type of news source, unquote. So the media plays a huge role in molding the minds of future generations, and to possess such a enormous influence should require a great amount of collaboration and honesty among one another. And I feel like women would get more inclined to be involved and participate absent irrelevant and degrading personal attacks. So the media, really the gatekeepers, and being more responsible should really be a job of theirs. So we covered the 3 ways the media obstruct. All of these have been obstructionist point of views for women in politics. The media can serve as a powerful influence, however, for women by 1, representing and embodying women within the media outlets, and 2, by not framing candidates based on stereotypes, but rather the qualifications and personalities they possess. Quote, the results indicate that a female senator is perceived as uniquely powerful for female citizens, enhancing female citizens' feelings of government responsiveness, unquote. This is from Frickin' and Kenny, and you can find that increases in government responsiveness, senators' knowledge, with a focus on individual behavior are respective of descriptive representation. So enhancing the descriptive aspect with women in the media, as we have in politics, I think that those fields would run parallel with one another, and we'd see an increase in participation. So that's one way the media can help out. Secondly, if candidates are framed a specific way and not giving adequately just coverage, then it may just prevent other candidates from running in the future. So therefore, affecting the descriptive representation of the political landscape. So if the media, takes hold of the power that they have, and they're being responsible and not framing women in politics, which is very dangerous, and avoiding it altogether, we can use them as a powerful tool. Lastly, was if I was a campaign manager. This one was hard because there's so many kind of things that run through my mind, so circumstantial depending on what candidate I have. But I would say, first, play to your strengths. Playing to your strengths is more about what you have going for you and disassociating yourself with the things that you don't. Don't try to get brownie points from constituents by focusing on different traits. I would say, just stick to who you are. Secondly, maintain composure. Just don't forget who you are. Don't subject yourself to harsh realities of politics. Take it one step at a time and always remain above reproach. And lastly, be a humble learner. Never forget where you come from. Make it a duty of yours to be able to constantly change. And engaging with others is the best way to find your center and humble yourself. So do that. You've made it this far in the running position. This is likely attributed to your resolute nature and decisive actions. So just don't lose that spunk and just keep going. So yeah, we discovered 3 obstructionist point of views, 2 ways the media can be a really powerful tool, and if I was a campaign manager, the advice